I'm Malcolm Van Delst, and this is an excerpt from How Low Can You Go, Book 5 in the Do the Wrong Thing series. Last time in How Low Can You Go, Garrett surprised Ava by showing up at her roommate's gig after Ava posed for an adult photo shoot. Trigger warning for this piece, there is sexual content and language. New chapter, it's called Quincy Jones. Remember Damien? He was from Concord, though he moved to Arbor a year or two after me. Met him in Release. He published my first ever story in his magazine called Desolation. He's in Concord to visit his old friends. He invites me to a party in a residential neighborhood supposedly popular with artists and students. I don't get it. Quiet, with detached houses and lawns, any interesting restaurants or businesses, of which there are a few, no doubt, all concentrated on one or two main streets. Before heading over, I take some acid. I've been good about not doing it. It's only a quarter tab. Not really taking acid, hardly worth considering. I get on my bike and head. At the address, I lock my bike up in the backyard, then head around to the front door. Typical of places Damien's friends live, the house is big, sparsely furnished, and typical of a party put on by Damien's friends, it's full of scruffy punks and unstylish intellectuals. Damien and I stare at each other awkwardly. I wasn't such a makeup-wearing fashion punk when I knew him. I'd started drifting then. We'd started growing apart. I sell some acid, make some money. The quarter hit is not denting my consciousness, so I take another, casually, as I stand in the brightly lit kitchen talking with a few students, none of whom I've met before. My thoughts drift to Garrett. Why is he more fashionable than these people? Some of them have leather jackets, like him. It's not fashion so much as money, perhaps. Garrett's Levi's fit him, and his t-shirts fall back on his frame, showing collarbones. Maybe it's posture. Garrett has every right to be proud of his thin, tall body, and he moves with grace, like he's at home in it. While these people in their faded, ill-fitting twills, tees, and sweaters, shoulders hunched and straight lines for mouths, eyes dull, at least compared to Garrett's. Health and financial health, all the healths. Ironic, considering that Garrett's probably got a drug problem. An hour passes. I feel nothing from the acid. I gotta get going, I tell the four people I'm standing with, discussing Sartre and Camus. I unwrap the foil. I folded the last half of the acid tab I've been sampling in, pop the half in my mouth, forget about my bike, and call a cab. As I move from the kitchen's white fluorescence to the cool damp of the yard, then into the close orange light of the cab's back seat, waves of euphoria hit, and the air pulses and sounds magnify. Streets rush by as we take off. Warehouses. Are those warehouses? Where are we? The driver must be running up my bill. But the music. Oh my God. Who is that? I ask. I've never heard such beautiful sounds. You like it? The cab driver smiles in the rearview mirror. Yeah. Who is it? Quincy Jones. Quincy Jones? Why have I never heard of him before? The driver laughs. I wake, remembering Quincy Jones and how I have to find this god of love in audio form. I can wrap myself in Quincy Jones, keep my eye on art, and safe from Garrett and whatever he's offering, which is a lot and super hard to resist, but Quincy. After brushing my teeth, coffee, and the usual morning ablutions, yes, reader, I've been waiting to use that word, ablutions, I finally remember my bike when I go to get on it to head to Sam the record man. Shit, I walk. I'll get my bike after finding out all I can and hearing all I can and buying all I can about and from this musical prodigy only late-night taxi drivers know about, Quincy Jones. The horn section starts up as I stand in the listening station. A big band joins in and, what? An instrumental version of It's My Party? That admittedly catchy but hardly cool pop hit from the 50s? Instrumental? Big band? I tear off the headphones, remove the CD, and hand it back to the salesperson. Did you want? It's fine, I reply, rushing out of the store, head down, embarrassed. The memory of my ex rhapsodizing about his guitar playing when he did Rick's Acid one afternoon in Release, and how Michelle and I had laughed because we'd heard the caterwaul he'd been making, which, frankly, was a far cry from beauty. Thank God my bike is still at the house. At the food court of the big shopping mall in Concord, a man I met through the back pages of Concord Now tilts sideways in his chair to look under the table at my bare foot. He doesn't say anything, only nods. I told him that many people found my thin and willowy feet beautiful. That was a blatant lie. No one has ever said that because my feet, well, they're bony. Modeling feet, even for fetishists, is better than taking off all my clothes and safer, I'd reasoned. Who knows what fetishists like? This fetishist does not like my feet because he doesn't call back. Garrett and I walk around the city making dumb jokes and laughing. I'm not talking about modeling, possible dom work, Greg or Amoeba, and from what I saw at the Bovine Club, Howie's gig, and what the guy in the vacation shirts said. Lots not to mention. I described the first time I heard music like they played at the rave. I worked at this cafe owned by the sister of one of the guys in that band, Men Without Hats. You remember them? You can dance if you want to. He grins. Yeah, I chuckle. Anyway, we had the first cappuccino machine in Arbor at that cafe, and I was so proud to work there because of that. I grin and shake my head. Garrett doesn't laugh. He smiles, seems to think it's endearing, not embarrassing. Anyway, I continue. The Cooks listened to this late night radio show on the university station where they played similar music. I'd never heard anything like it. We'd laugh and bop. Well, this was squelchier and more cartoonish than what they played at the rave. Garrett grins. I was throwing parties where we'd play that. House music. Yeah, house music, I exclaim. I cut the lock off a warehouse once. Me. He laughs, mimes using a big pair of bolt cutters. You were one of those people? As usual, I'd read all about Frankie Knuckles, Chicago, and the house music scene. I couldn't believe Garrett was one of the Canadian originators. We piled our stuff in, got everyone inside, and locked the door, he continues. Partied till the cops came. I stare at him, laughing in awe. We did that a lot, he grins. I had dreads this long. He makes a movement on his forearm with his opposite hand. You? He grins his wicked smile, with his eyes all starry. I had dreads, I say. How did you... I look at his straight locks that would never dread naturally. Come here, he says as we pass an alley. Once off the main street, he leans against a wall, eyes and smile softening. He reaches for my hands. He doesn't have to pull hard to bring my body to his.